Well, it must be a dopey or a gunman.
People of Jamaica, people of Jamaica, this is not a joke. Don't laugh, don't laugh. Delroy Chuck is saying that the political ombudsman is unknown.
Well, it must be a dopey or a gunman.
He cannot tell the Jamaican people who is the political ombudsman. People, is this person a dopey? Is this person a dopey? Don't laugh, because if Delroy Chuck, as Minister of Justice, cannot tell us at this time who is the political ombudsman, that means the person is a dopey. Yes, the person is a dopey.
Yes, my people, Cliff Hughes, give Delroy Chuck one piece of backsliding since the year. Me say, Cliff Hughes, wheel him belt buckle from Delroy Chuck and give him a piece of backsliding. It's only one son here from Delroy Chuck. One son here. So, Cliff Hughes asked him about the political ombudsman, and Cliff Hughes questioned him. What is the move to put the political ombudsman in the electoral office? And I know, sir, Delroy Chuck couldn't answer Cliff Hughes the way how him want. But people, uno believe what Delroy Chuck say to Cliff Hughes. Delroy Chuck say the political ombudsman is there already, and the political ombudsman is unknown. Yes, that is where Delroy Chuck come out swinging this morning to tell the Jamaican people that the political ombudsman is unknown, and him can't call the political ombudsman name.
Well, it must be a dopey or a gunman.
He said to Cliff Hughes, the political ombudsman was working from the last election. Yes, the last election in 2024, the parish council election.
Well, it
That
must be
is
a dopey
what
or a
Delroy Chuck
gunman.
come out to say this morning, the 30th of April. Delroy Chuck is telling the Jamaican people, and Cliff Hughes, show Cliff Hughes online, that he cannot tell the name of the political ombudsman. And me say, Cliff Hughes put him cross him foot and give him the belt buckle. Give him the belt buckle. And you should have heard the big man a ball out. Hear me? And Cliff Hughes give it to him and him ball out. Cliff Hughes even a mountain. But this may sound like it's a mountain, you know. But everybody have it to say, it is no secret that Stacey Knight, even the people them in the constituency, is calling Delroy Chuck and telling him that Stacey Knight is doing a lot of work in the constituency. Yes, Cliff Hughes go as far as to tell him, say, This one here is no sham because Stacey Ann is really working. Yes, yes, yes. So here, Delroy Chuck now. Yes, I can give it to her. She's really walking the streets and she's doing a lot of job. You know what I say? Stacey and Knight have a kick with him foot. But I need you to just listen to this interview here with Cliff Hughes and
someone who can act as arbiter on issues of political conflict has been dogging the system with the end of the office of the political ombudsman, the supervision of the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, that a lot of people disagree with, saying it shouldn't happen, and the Holiness administration under Chuck's leadership has pressed on. Now we're into the election campaign. Who acts as a political ombudsman? Mr. Chuck will join me after the break. Justice is the MP for North East St. Andrew, the veteran Delroy Chuck. Good morning, Mr. Chuck.
Good morning to you, Cliff, and your listeners.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Right.
This issue of a political ombudsman, you have been the point man for the Holiness administration.
Right.
In making this decision to do away with the office of the political ombudsman, for which you have come under severe criticism as a bad move, wrong move, to be twinning the work of the office of the ombudsman with that of the Electoral Commission of Jamaica.
Right.
Yes? And we are now well into the election campaign season. There are political issues of conflict, the issue regarding posters or removal of campaign paraphernalia. And we don't have a political ombudsman to turn to. The electoral commissioners are busy trying to get ready to run the elections. Then why you want to get them into this?
Cliff, you will recall last week I came out and said there's no turning back. Since then, a lot of information has come to my knowledge. Firstly, it's my understanding that a point person has been appointed by the ECJ, and he or she has been carrying out the work that normally was done by the former political ombudsman.
What do you mean a point person has been appointed?
The person, you remember I was calling for a director of political conduct. It appears that such a person has been appointed and has been working with the ECJ for quite some time without fanfare. In other words, that person has been receiving reports, investigating these reports, and reporting back to the ECJ. And, you know, all of this is happening, and the public has not been informed.
Well, you don't know. Well, you're the minister, you have responded, you don't know. How we are going to know?
I didn't know at all until it came to my attention in recent times.
Hold on. Let us get it very clear. The Electoral Commission has appointed what?
Someone.
To what office? What's the name of the office? Let's get that clear first.
Well, first of all, it is for the Electoral Commission to see what is the name firstly, and secondly, that they will be the point person to do the work that was normally done by the standalone political ombudsman, save and except. All the information will be brought to the attention of the ECJ, and it is the ECJ that will make the decision, which is the important point I noted why we needed not a standalone political ombudsman, but someone who is accountable to a body that can deliberate and make a decision that will be accepted and executed by the politician or by anyone who breach the code of political conduct, and that body has the moral authority to ensure that it is carried out. And my understanding is such a person has been appointed and is working.
When was this person appointed?
Cliff, I don't know. And that is why I will be calling on the ECJ, either by...
Who is this person, Mr. Chuck?
Cliff, although a name was given to me, I can't call the name of the person.
Why? Is that secret?
Well...
This is a very public job, you know.
Well, it has not been announced by the ECJ, and until the ECJ announces it, I am not the appropriate person to do so. But I will be calling on the ECJ to make that announcement at the earliest possible time, hopefully today. I will be sending out a press release calling on the ECJ to announce who has been appointed to carry out the role of the political ombudsman, how that person can be contacted, how the process will go in dealing with complaints that is made to that person and his or her office.
Mr. Chuck, this is very unseemly, unusual.
And you will recall that I intimated last week that I am disappointed that no information has been communicated to the public by the ECJ. Until recently, I got that information. But most importantly, when Donna Parchment, the former political ombudsman, came on your Jamaicans for Justice program on Monday evening, she pointed out that 60 million was given to the ECJ to carry out the role of the political ombudsman. Can I just say it categorically now that was provided for in the budget of 24-25, but I'm saying that none of it was used, even though the ECJ was carrying out the role of the political ombudsman. So I just want to emphasize, and that is why persons came to me, because I used the figure to say that 60 million was available. My understanding is that the ECJ never used $1, because when I spoke last week, I said I did not know if they used the 60 million. But I can now say, because of the information I've received, they never used it. And in fact, they got nothing in the budget this year. My understanding is that the ECJ will perform the role of the political ombudsman from the budget of the ECJ.
This is rather confusing and strange. And
no, all I can say, Cliff, because of how I got the information, I want to publicly call on the ECJ to please communicate with the public what has taken place, who is the person appointed, when was he appointed, and how will he discharge the role given to the ECJ of the political ombudsman, because the public at large needs to know that not only did they accept what was provided by in the parliamentary amendment, but in fact they have been carrying out the role, even including the local government election.
From February 2024?
Absolutely.
And all of this under the quiet? Under the
quiet.
This is funny.
So when I heard this, I said, but if this is so, why has the ECJ not at least said that they got 1 or 10 complaints and they were investigated? Something like that. We need...
But Mr. Chuck, are you the responsible minister for this matter?
No.
First
of all, there's no responsible minister. It is it's a commission of parliament. ECJ is a commission of parliament. When I did the bill, I consulted with the ECJ chairman and members of the ECJ that we're asking them to take on this role. There were no objection, and once the role was taken on, I asked the ECJ to really take over the office, including the staff. And Cliff, they did take on the staff. At least one member I know is now being paid from the ECJ budget, from the political ombudsman, and they took over basically everything and has been performing the role of the political ombudsman without any fanfare or communication to the public. And then I come under criticism when, in fact, if the ECJ...
But you come under criticism and you even now, you're at sea. Okay, you don't know what is happening. And you are the government's lead person on this issue.
But, that is so, Cliff, because I cannot speak for the ECJ. And I'm not in a position to say this is what the ECJ has done.
By the procedures and the protocol, yes, you can, because you're a politician. Yes?
Well, now that I have better particulars, I will be calling on the ECJ to really communicate with the public. Because the information I have, there's a lot to tell the public.
So this person has been appointed, and has been appointed for more than a year now. The local elections were February 2024.
I can't be sure when the person was appointed. I know, but I understand the person was appointed and has been performing the role that the standalone political ombudsman did in the past. That's all I can say. I don't know exactly the date split when that person was appointed, but I understand that there's such a person, and the person is carrying out the role of the political ombudsman. But really and truly, I will be asking the ECJ today, no later than this week, to communicate with the public so that the public is aware of what is happening.
Somebody just wrote on YouTube, Ronald Grant, very chaka.
Well, I will accept that, Cliff, because that is what happens when you don't communicate with the public. But I can't, because I am not the spokesperson for the ECJ, and I can't speak. And when the ECJ speaks, it speaks with one voice, and I'm not that voice. You see, the ECJ is urgent that they come out and speak to the public as to what has been happening since the act was amended over the past year, before and after the local government election. So the public at large can be aware that it is in fact performing the role as I understand it. And all of that time, if the ECJ had communicated, it would stop a lot of the criticism which has been in the public space for so long.
Yes. Before I allow you to go, Mr. Chuck, how long have you been MP for North East St. Andrew?
Since 97.
97, that's 28 years.
28 years, that is correct.
Are you running back?
I think this could be my last go at the polls. I'm still full of vigor and vitality,
Oh, this could be. You said could be your last. That means you may still.
No. The truth about it is that it's about time that I do what the final representation. Quite a few of the things I really would like to see happening in St. Andrew, such as improvement to the.
But I hear the PNP. I hear the PNP has a little surprise package for you.
No, they always do.
Yeah,
but I'm always
I hear Miss Knight, Stacey Knight, is going to pull off a shocker.
She can always try, but I rather doubt she will succeed.
Oh,
she's walking around a lot. She's interacting, but my representation. When she goes around, I know. People call me and say, "Do you know Miss Knight has walked the street?" I've seen
them sending you a message.
No, I have no problem. I think it's very important that we have a good candidate for the PNP, and she's a good candidate. But believe me, Chris, I will win a seventh time.
Seventh time? I hear you. Okay, Mr. Chuck, we look forward to that statement about the details of this person who has been. So, listeners, we are learning from the Justice Minister that it's his understanding that someone has been acting in the role of a political ombudsman since February last year.
I can't tell you but the ECJ had assumed that role and has been acting, whether it is that person or some other office, but I know that the person who was the point person in the political ombudsman office was taken on by the ECJ, and that person was performing the role of the political ombudsman, but a person who would be in a similar role as the former political ombudsman was appointed. I don't know when that person was appointed. But the ECJ did take on the office of the political ombudsman from before February of last year, after the act was amended, and has been performing the role.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
And you are not prepared, the administration of Holness, Prime Minister Holness, not prepared to rethink its policy decision?
No, not at all, not at all. Because we think that this body is the appropriate body that can receive complaints, carry out the investigation. Bear in mind, Cliff, it has 63 offices in all constituencies. Mm-hmm. So it can utilize the officers in these constituencies to take the complaints, to do some investigation, get information back to the central office, just like the director of elections. And what is more, you have 4 independent members and 2 each from the both political parties who can listen to a complaint and when the investigation is done, make a decision, and that decision is a final decision from the ECJ, and the political representative and that body can ensure that if the person has to retract, apologize, they do so because the representative can speak to the leader and the general secretary of the political parties. Mm-hmm. So you have a sort of moral coercive body that can ensure enforcement. And one hopes that this, you see, if you go on that standalone in a clip, you will have to put in a body similar to the ECJ to ensure that one person alone doesn't make a decision. Because the first 2 political ombudsmen, they tried hard in a clip, but they were very ineffective because people didn't respect the decision.
Because you didn't give them any teeth in law.
But and Cliff, you can't give teeth for moral decisions.
No?
You can only give teeth if there is a quasi-criminal penalty or a penalty which a court can enforce. And most of these allegations, most of the code in the political code of conduct is about acting properly, not breach.
But when you and colleagues on your side and the other side are in the heat of a political campaign, where time is of the essence, yes, and you breach the code of conduct, and the political ombudsman says you have breached it, yeah, what is to force you to act according to the punishment or the recommendations of the office of the ombudsman? Right now, you just ignore whoever is there.
Well, that's the point. For instance, I can tell you the one occasion that I complained to the political ombudsman, the party and myself, at a meeting, decided we should not put up flags in Northeast St. Andrews. And when my then opponent started to put up orange flags, I reported it to the political ombudsman, and nothing was done. This is about 10 years ago.
So therefore,
now, in fact, what I'm really saying, if the political ombudsman can't ensure an agreement between the parties is enforced, then it's quite ineffective.
So what's the fix?
Well, this is where we believe that the ECJ, where you have representatives from both sides, that once a decision is made, then those representatives can ensure that the person who breached the code, that whatever recommendation, retraction, action, or apology, that it is carried out.
Oh, okay. You're banking on that history of cooperation at the ECJ. I hear you.
Absolutely.
I hear you. Right. Delroy Chuck is the Minister of Justice.
All the best, Cliff.
Good. I have a listener up in Northeast